What's up, everybody? Circus here, coming at you with a state of the game video. And the reason I wanted to do this one is because it felt like just a week ago, sitting in Twitch chat, listening to the Rye call the games, and people just mauling, just harpies. Just they're so oppressive. They need to be nerfed. They need a limit too. This is disgusting. And it turns out they're not as good as we thought a week later, are they? So it's
Yeah.
kind of like we wanted to kind of take a look at the game and like, is the game really as bad as like people like to make it out every single time we do a stream? And I got Ryan here because this tournament that we got a graphic here from our GG Tour sponsored tournament, and Ryan called this one. And as you can see from the graphic, it was really balanced, wasn't it?
Yep, it was an almost 300 person tournament. It was for a $250 prize pool. So you do get, that little bit more of competitive punch to it as
Hmm.
well. But a lot of people, they for example, the meta or the MCS was very heavily Harpy entered, right? So a lot of people look at one tournament and be like, that's the deck that needs to be nerfed because look at that. That's just ridiculous and gross and all this stuff. And it really goes tournament to tournament scene, right? It's every tournament will have its own little mini meta kind of adapting, which kind of happened with the GG Tour tournament. Lunalights ended up taking the whole thing, and
Right,
that's
believe it
because
or not.
no one sided anything to take out a Lunalight player. Is Lunalight the best deck in the game? Of course not. There's no way. But
It has a
when
really
you're
good Harpy matchup.
it's got a great Harpy matchup. It's
Yeah.
got a great Automat matchup. And if you don't side deck, I mean, Automats can easily take out Lunalights by just side decking Swordbreaker. That used to be a very common side. You really don't see it that much these days. And there you go. They just got smashed by Lunalights. That's why you'd never want to really push emphasis on one singular tournament when you're looking at your results, regardless of what the prize pool is. Of course, MCS 1400, 1700 prize pool, but there's several 300, 400, 500 dollar prize pools that say, hey, look, this is not the situation that you think it is. And I think what a lot of people are mad at is just getting hit by TTH, right? You get
Right.
hit by TTH, you get hit by True Nade, and you're like, this
Yep.
deck needs to be nerfed. It's those cards that are probably, it's not the deck
Right.
that needs to be nerfed whatsoever. And, every format is going to have the gatekeeper deck. That's the definition of a meta um, is having that the gatekeeper decks that kind of shape up how you have to play.
But I was gonna say
And
right now, I don't think we really have like one or two of those. Before, remember, we had Blue Eyes and
yeah,
Dark Lords. I think Dark Lords more was than Blue Eyes. But when you look at this graphic, like all of these, like the top 4 or 5, all of these have won tournaments over the past week or two. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like none of
and
them
it's
are
just
super dominant.
and the thing that really kind of irks up in this metagame is back row, right? Like
Hmm.
you need a deck that can deal with back row, and you need a deck that can deal with hand traps, and if you can, you're good to go, kind of thing. A lot of people say, "Oh, harpies are the best deck," but we clearly saw automats just devastating harpies like this past week. And harpies they're trying to adapt, but they really can't. Their adaptation is go first and draw two TTHs, otherwise I lose, which isn't really a good counter to getting destroyed by automats. But then automats all of a sudden are getting wrecked by Yosenju and Lunalights and all these other decks. And in my opinion, that makes for a very interesting metagame because rogue decks actually have a chance to compete.
Yeah, I was gonna say we got at
Um,
least two really good ones right now with Yosenjus and Lunalights in tournaments.
mhm.
Like we see them regularly doing well. And a lot of people say the rock paper scissors format, but this is almost like there's like 5 options. Like this deck
This is
takes
like,
out this one takes out this
yeah,
one, and there's never like a
it,
clear
it's less
favorite.
about the actual deck and more about the play styles, right? Like if
Right.
you're playing, something that's heavy OTK and you're side decking like Mind Drain, you're going to destroy all the Fire King players because they literally live and die by their hand traps. But if you're playing a deck that uses, no monster protection, Harpies is going to annihilate you. But if you're using a deck that can dodge the Harpy bounce, then you're able to kind of play, and it's nice. It's a really nice meta that we're currently in. I do personally believe that because, like for example, if we brought decks like Noble Knight and Desperado back, these are decks you don't want to be TTHing to begin with. TTA naturally, you know what I
Right.
mean? And
Right.
then things like Karma Cut will come back, which is at least has a cost to it rather than TTH having to just pop two and that's it. Um, so it's a very nice meta game we're in, and I think another graphic that's really nice to look at is our I don't know if you have it on hand, the unlimited tournament that we held, and top 32 was just like 20 different decks.
Oh wow.
And
Okay.
the only thing we nerfed is we didn't allow people to play Alistair and any
Hmm.
of the invoke cards, and we didn't allow anyone to play Dark Lord cards. Those two cards, which were more of the oppressive
Hmm.
metagames that we were in, where they just shut down decks and you couldn't answer them, you just couldn't do anything. And the meta was fine. Honestly, everything was fine.
Right.
We had Grass Shiranui, Grass Witchcrafter, Exodia, all these cards, and no one was crushing anyone. The decks were so strong that they were just rushing to their win con, and just whoever got there first wins,
Right.
essentially. So,
So, which is what we're
I
seeing now is just these decks are less
yeah,
powerful.
they're just
Yeah.
less powerful,
Which
pretty
I
much,
think is good because a lot of people like coming out of the last meta no one liked. It was
Nah,
Dark Lords and Blue Eyes, but like
nah.
Konami's happy right now, right? Because it's look at anime decks, Harpies,
Yeah.
Onomats, Water, Blue Eyes. I mean, all this stuff is like anime related. It's the Stardust deck that just came out.
Yep.
We don't know what's going to happen with it, but that's anime related. People love it. It's probably
Mhm.
we're going to see it in tournaments more.
We've seen things like TG make top cuts like crazy
Right.
lately. There's usually one or two, and usually they get like top eight, top four. And it's just one of those metagames where the best decks are not that oppressive. Like
And
the
it
most oppressive you'll probably get is a water deck opening up Necro Valley on you.
right.
So if you have Cosmic or MST, you're chilling type of situation.
And if you follow the power rankings, like who's number one keeps kind of shifting. Like Harpy's got it two
Yep.
weeks in a row, but then there's a new person the next week. And I mean, it keeps shifting. So I feel
Hmm.
like it's not that bad. It was like water, then it was Harpies, and then it's Onomats, and then,
Hmm.
so I think it's a really good, the state of the game is strong right now. Like it's easy to get
Hmm.
into. You can get a deck very cheaply. You can build one free to play very easily, and you can get into the meta game if you want to, or get into tournaments, or do well in the ladder, and you not feel like you're super far behind everybody else because you joined late.
Pretty
If you're
much.
just
Yeah.
joining the game, you can get Harpies, you can get King of
Yeah.
Games, you can join a tournament. If you've been around a
I
long
think.
time, you can build something that's a little bit more expensive.
I think the only downside to this metagame is just the cards are stale, which makes sense.
Hmm.
Because decks like Automats have just been around forever and they've just disappeared and come back. Fire King disappeared,
Right.
came back. Water disappeared, came back. Really, the only new deck is Harpies.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that's part of the reason you see so much representation. And of course, I do think Harpies are still like they do have that innate, like they're setting the meta. Like you do need to play around the Harpy
Right.
Slash, and if you don't, you'll have some issues. Um, but beyond that, like there's not too much that I'm playing, or like when I'm thinking of my side deck, it's like there's so much to think about. It's like, oh God, do I have a Luna Light out? Do I have a Yosenju out?
Right. Right.
It's like you're just constantly thinking. It's not like, okay, well, I need to out Blue Eyes and Dark Lord, and that's it, and I'll be fine after that. Rogue decks, who cares?
Well, I'm kind of okay
So
with the decks being kind of old because they're not like super old, but like Onomats, Fire Kings, decks like that, or even Blue Eyes, you got to go into a structure deck, and then you got to go in
mhm,
other boxes
put
to
some value in them.
to support them. Yeah, let them play them for a little while, and just
Yeah,
keep introducing new ones that can compete with them. It just causes people to buy more, right? Because it's like
yeah.
if I can do Fire Kings, I can do Onomats, and now I can do Stardust, and I did Blue Eyes. I got like 4 or 5 decks for under $100, and I can play the hell out of them. I think it's healthy from
Yeah.
a monetary
I
perspective. And if you want to go free to play, you can do Harpies.
I
You know,
think it would be very smart for Konami to start unlimiting some cards. So like example, Six Samurai. Six
right?
Samurai is one of those decks that people have a lot of PTSD over. But I can
Hmm.
tell you right now, after seeing them play in unlimited tournaments, they're not that strong.
And
There's
and they're a
they
fan
were
favorite.
they're a fan favorite. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's more of a deck that was just stronger than the meta when they were around, and it kind of became like that
like a Cyber
known.
Angels. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of became known as that tier zero deck. But in reality, if you bring it in into the current metagame, they kind of get trashed by a lot of things. In fact,
Right.
just setting up set one stone from your blue eyes, and that's it. They lose to that. It's really hard for them to do anything about that.
Hmm.
So it'd be very interesting. I think a lot of players right now that are playing came from the Zexal world. I think there's a huge influx of new players from that. I think the Zexal world has overall been a huge success for Konami, and I think that's where we're seeing a lot more anime related stuff like Shooting Star and Photons and all this stuff because they want to push that anime crowd.
Right.
I think releasing some of these cards from the ban list can really make the game more fun for everyone that has those decks, and then they can make some money that they wouldn't make otherwise because people wouldn't have gone. No one's gonna buy
Right.
6 samurai right now, but if you unlimit it, hey, I can go buy 6 samurai. You know what I mean? And yeah,
Exactly.
just in general, I think if we keep releasing decks at that same level of harpies, I think that's the perfect level for Duel Links. I don't think we need anything too strong like Element Saber and Dark Lord. That just makes the game anti-fun because those
Right.
decks become, even
Oppressive. Yeah.
even when we get more and more and more support, like the state of the game we would have to go to, so Dark Lords is a fair deck, is such a like
A high
shitty
level.
state. Like
Yeah.
we don't
Yeah.
want to be there, to be
Right.
honest. That sounds like a boring metagame.
Yep.
Where if we want something like Harpies or 6 Samurai or any of these other decks that have been nerfed to be like top tier, it'd be just a lot more fun to see them interact
Well, I
with
think it
each
would
other.
allow the decks that people are like, man, if this deck, like, I'm just gonna pick Rika's. I know everybody hate on me, but like Rika's don't have their support. But in a lower powered meta, if they had their right cards, maybe they could compete. But
Mhm.
in Dark Lords, they might never have a chance.
Yeah,
You
there's
know
just
what I
never a
mean?
chance. Yeah.
So
A
hopefully,
lot.
you know,
Another one is Harpies versus Noble Knights. People are always like, "Oh, well, there's just no way Harpies will destroy Noble Knights." That's not true though. There's still unreleased Noble Knight support. All that Noble Knight support would probably be garbage against full power Dark Lord. Let's be fair, or full power. Let's more accurately full power invoked
E
Element
Sabers,
Saber.
yeah.
There's just no way you can give all the support in the world to Noble Knights, and they'll just straight up lose.
When they
But
have
if you give
not
me more,
12 flip downs in their deck.
yeah, it's like I'm not taking that on.
Right.
But if you get full power Harpies versus more support or even full power Noble Knight, that is a fair matchup. That
That's a
there's
game.
there's
Yeah.
there's intricacies in there that will determine who the winner is. It's not one-sided like a lot of people think. And I think that's what you need. What two decks that in the ladder, if the two decks meet, yes, there should be one winner. But if in tournament, if those two decks meet, depending on the side, the winner is up to gameplay. Whoever
Right.
just plays better or whoever draws the better card, the better side deck card should be the winner. IMO.
So basically, what we're saying is we're in a really, really good spot. I hope
Yeah.
this continues on for at least through the summer. I hope they don't release anything that's just too overpowered. Let's see another deck get added, maybe by Worlds. Rise thinking Dark Magician support. Who
I would
knows?
love if they from like Blue Eyes down. Even well, you can include Blue Eyes because people love Blue Eyes, right? But you those decks basically get power crept by better decks that all are on
Hmm.
the same level of Harpies. So you have like Harpies, Automat, Fire King, Water, Blue Eyes, and then Stardust, Dark Magician, whatever decks
Whatever
they
else
want to
would come out.
include,
Yep.
and just slowly, because like decks like Evil Eye are more balanced now, but they're just boring to watch and boring to
Right.
play. So I get it. No one wants to see those decks. They've been around forever. Invoke Neos. I mean, we're so tired of seeing Invoke
Ritual
Neos. Who cares?
Beasts. I
Yeah,
know. Yeah.
we
Ritual
know
Beasts.
these decks.
Yeah, we
It's like
know that.
we
Yep.
we we get it. So get those out of here. Bring in some new decks. Let's let these other decks kind of
Keep
interact with
them at
each
this
other.
power
And
level.
yeah,
Yep.
don't nerf them. Do
Yeah.
not nerf,
Yeah.
please. Please don't nerf.
We're in a good spot. We're in a good spot. Let's just stay where we are.
I don't want to go back to Dino Beatdown Order to Charge for game, Like let's
Right.
let's play some Yu-Gi-Oh,
Yeah.
It's fun. The unlimited
Exactly.
tournament was so much fun, so much back and forth. Not, I flipped over TTH so I won that game, Like that's what we
Yep.
want.
All right, let us know what you think in the comments below. Do you think we're in a good meta? I think we're in a great meta. I think we're in a really good time in Duel Links right now. Let us know what you think. And don't forget to get in our Discord because it's free. The tournaments are free. And the new player help is free. Yeah, we'll just get out of here. We'll leave it at that. I'm Circus. That's Rye.
Don't touch those harpies.
Ooh, you don't want to catch those. All right. We'll see you next time.